Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This channel, Avid Science, is all about trying to learn various concepts of data science by practicing a lot of questions. In this video, we are going to solve this question on Leetcode regarding find zombie sessions. The difficulty level of this question is hard, and I'm going to share the SQL schema as well as the Pandas schema in the description box below. Okay, the question reads, we are given a table called app events with 6 different columns: event ID, user ID, event timestamp, event type, session ID, and event value. Event ID is the unique identifier for this table. Event type can be app open, click, scroll, purchase, or app close. Session ID groups events within the same user session. Event value represents for purchase amount in dollars, for scrolls pixel scroll, for others null. We are asked to write a solution to identify zombie sessions where users appear active but show abnormal behavior patterns. A session is considered a zombie session if it meets all the following criteria. Firstly, the session duration is more than 30 minutes, has at least 5 scroll events, click to scroll ratio is less than 0.2, and no purchases were made during the session. We need to return the result table ordered by scroll count in descending order, and if there is a tie, by session ID in ascending order. Okay, let's go through this example. This will make this more clear. So let's see for user ID 201, and let's look at the session ID S001. So for them, you have 8 different rows, right? Now, let's look at how long this entire session was. So it started on 1st of March 2024 at 10 and ended at 10:35. So clearly more than 30 minutes long. Then the second condition that needs to be satisfied is at least 5 different scroll events. So if we look at it, so there are 6 different scroll events. So second condition is also satisfied. Thirdly, click to scroll ratio is less than 0.2. Let's see how many clicks this session has. It has 0, right? So 0 out of 6 is 0, which is less than 0.2. Hence the third condition is satisfied as well. And no purchases were made during the session. And you can see there were no purchases made. So this satisfies all the 4 conditions, and that therefore it is a zombie session. So for user ID 201 and session ID S001, it should be in the output, and that is what we have. So to solve this question, what we can do is, firstly, from this table, we can group by every user ID and every session ID, because users can have multiple sessions, right? So for every user ID and every session ID, let's try to find out these 4 things and then go from there. So what we are going to do is, from this table called app events, let us group by the user ID and then the session ID. Let us return both the user ID and the session ID. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to find out how long the session was. So, and that too in minutes, because the question says session duration is more than 30 minutes. So, how to get the difference in timestamp in minutes? We can use the function timestamp def, and then we want it in minute. So minute, and then what we want is for every user ID and session, the minimum of event timestamp and the maximum of event timestamp. That is going to give you how long that session was. So give me minimum of event timestamp as well as maximum of event timestamp, and let's alias this as session duration, right? So sesh duration. Then what other thing that we need to do is, let's find out how many scroll events are there. So what we can do is we can simply use case when statements here. Say, hey, case when your event type is equal to scroll, then number 1, else number 0, end the case statements, and if you sum this entire thing, that is going to give you the number of scrolls. So as number of scroll, then what we need is, the third thing that we need is the ratio of click to scroll. So we can just simply use the same thing, right? And just change scroll to click and divide by the number of scrolls to get the ratio. So what we can do is, let's divide this. So scroll is changed to click, right? So that this is going to give us the number of clicks, and if we divide this by number of scrolls, right, so this is going to give us the ratio between number of clicks to number of scroll. And let's alias this as click to scroll. Okay, and finally what we want is, we also want the number of purchases to be 0. So what we can do is, we can simply use the same logic and say that, hey, let us do, when your case event type is equal to purchase, then you return me 1, else you return me 0, and let's alias this as number of purchases. Okay, let us go ahead and run this. Let's see what do we get in our output. So if I scroll down, and let me just drag it to the left for better readability. So you have, for every user ID and session ID, what's the session duration, number of scrolls, click to scroll ratio, and number of purchases. What we can do is, we can save this entire thing in a common table expression. So with CTE as, this entire thing goes into parentheses, and then what we can do is, from this common table expression, we need to satisfy 4 different conditions. So where, firstly, the session duration is more than 30 minutes. So session duration is more than 30 minutes, and at least 5 scroll events. So number of scroll should be greater than equal to 5, because it says at least, and click to scroll ratio. So click to scroll ratio should be less than 0.20, and finally the number of purchases should be 0. If all these conditions are satisfied, what we need to return? We need to return the session ID, user ID. So let us return session ID, then user ID, then we also need the session duration in minutes. So session duration, and let's alias this as what is required in our output. So session duration in minutes. Then we also need another column called scroll count. So basically what we have as number of scroll, we can just, rename it as scroll count. And I think that's it, right? And we also need to order this in a certain way. So we need to result ordered by, so order by scroll count in descending manner, and then session ID in ascending manner. Okay, I think this looks good. Let me go ahead and run this. Let's see what do we get in our output. So yeah, this is accepted. If we look at our output is exactly same as expected output. Let me go ahead and submit to see pass all the test cases or not. So yeah, this is accepted, and this is how we do it. So not a difficult question, however lengthy, and we have to think it through. What we basically did was, these are the 4 conditions for zombie sessions. So for every user ID and session ID, what we did was, we found out, okay, how long is the session duration in minutes, then what's the number of scroll events, what's the ratio between click and scroll, and finally how many purchases were made. Once we have the information for every user ID and session ID, we can simply classify them as zombie sessions or not using these 4 criteria, that if your session duration is greater than 30, more than 5, or at least 5 scrolls, click to scroll ratio is less than 0.2, and 0 purchases were made, then it is a zombie session, and we return the details of those sessions. So this is how we do it. Let me know if there's a better, more efficient to solve this question. Let the solution be in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.